We had 16 people sign up for the info today, and I'll be sending a recording of this to everybody who registered. And hi, Jane. Hello, Jane. Good to see you. It's great that you made it in here. So here's a quote from Brian Swim. Each person discovers a field of allurements, the totality of which bears the unique stamp of that person's personality. Destiny unfolds in the pursuit of individual fascinations and interests. By pursuing your allurements, you help bind the universe together. The unity of the world rests on the pursuit of passion. So why don't we just go around the circle and just say your name and where you are, and that's it. Just your name and where you are. So let's start with Tim.
Yeah, my name's Tim. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
And you're in the Quantum Wisdom course.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, great. And Argery.
Marjorie, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Cleveland, Ohio, USA.
And Argery, where are you?
Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio. Yay. And Argery was in the last Deep Time Leadership Program. Glad you're here, Argery, because you can share a word about your experience. Lee Fei, say where you are.
You have to unmute, Lee Fei.
Yeah, before I'm in China, but now I'm in New York.
That's great.
In Queens. In Queens.
In Queens. Okay. Yeah. Yay. And Lee Fei was in the last Deep Time Leadership Program. She came in with 9 people from China, organized by Dan Troy, who's a Columban priest, who brought in 9 people from China. So
Because
great.
this time I just want to talk to say hello to you and Margie, you know, I know you are also in close to my here, so
That's
that is
right.
why I joined this group.
Yay, good. Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane and I'm in England, UK.
Yay. Thank you, Jane. And Anne.
I am Anne, and I'm in Los Angeles, California, US.
Oh, and
I'm
Anne,
also
are
in
you
the
in the
Quantum
are you in the Quantum Wisdom course too?
I am.
You are. And Jane, you are as well.
Yep, I thought I saw some familiar faces.
Yay. So just a word about what turned me onto this work. Back in 1997, I did a program at Genesis Farm with Sister Miriam McGillis, who had been studying with Brian Swim and Thomas Berry, and got so inspired that she started a program that drew people from all over the world to a farm in northern New Jersey, the town of Blairstown. And it just lit people up, totally transformed people, that they went out and started forming centers all across the world. And honestly, it just totally changed my life, such that everything I've been doing since then goes back to that experience, where I wrote my books for children, science-based books for children that tell the story of the universe, started professional development for teachers, and then over time founded the Deep Time Network as a place where people could come together and find out what so many other people are doing in this work, so that we can share and interact and create community and unleash synergy all together. And that's exactly what's been happening. So now I just want to introduce Steve, who I said a word about before. And I see, hi, Georgianne. You made it in. That's great. Good.
You want to have Georgianne introduce herself?
Oh, sure. Georgianne, why don't you say where you are, Georgianne?
Oh, you have to unmute, Georgianne.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Georgianne Geesey, and I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, close to you, Steve.
Not far, not
Not
far.
far.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So where are you, Steve?
I'm in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good place.
Yeah.
So is Myrtle Beach. Yeah. So
So, yeah, go ahead,
I'll say a
Steve.
few words. So
Yeah.
So I'm Stephen Martin. I'm from Asheville, North Carolina, USA. I'm an astronomer, an educator, a writer, and from an early age, I was captured by the stars. I mean, it was almost destined that I would, end up in this seat. Just captured by the universe and the stars from an early age, and I followed that pursuit. So Jennifer read this quote from Brian Swim about allurement, and that's been really the story of my life. Is the story of this cosmic allurement. But the short version of how I ended up here was I became captured by the work of Brian Swim, as so many of us are. And it was captured to such an extent that I decided to leave my swanky faculty staff position, at a university, give up everything, move to California, and become a poor lowly graduate student to study with Brian. So the allurement was that strong that I literally, changed my life in order to study with him. And that was a life-changing experience. I mean, to apprentice with someone like Brian, and of course, all the other faculty at the California Institute of Integral Studies, was a life-changing experience. And now it's very gratifying to be the director of this program in which we have Brian Swim as part of our faculty. So really lovely to have this kind of reversal of roles from him as a mentor to now he's a colleague. And we're presenting this program together, which is based on the power of allurement. So I can speak, very directly to the power of allurement as a form of guidance that will change your life. So if you listen to that calling and if you follow it and if you trust it, which is what this program is about, it will lead you to where you need to be. And so as Brian says, and I put this in the chat, destiny unfolds in the pursuit of individual fascinations and interests. By pursuing your allurements, you help bind the universe together. The unity of the world rests in the pursuit of passion, right? So our interests, our allurements, those things that we are compelled by are cosmic principles. It's the cosmos calling us, right, towards its own fulfillment and destiny. And so by weaving our own personal longing, we're interweaving our lives with the unfoldment of the cosmos. So there's a cosmic dimension that's present here that has a personal expression, and our allurement has a cosmic function in that sense. And so we've designed this program based on earlier programs that we did on the Deeptime network. And when Jennifer and I first designed the program just came together. We say, well, this is how it has to be. We didn't really have to think about it. We had to do a lot of hard work to put it together, but this was a program born out of allurement, and is a program that mentors, holds, and cultivates people's individual allurements and ties them together in a larger context. So I want to give you an overview of the program, some of the highlights, talk about some of the people who are drawn to this program, the types of people, their interests as well. We'll talk about some of the faculty. There'll be time later on for questions as well. And we'll spend some time in breakout groups as well, because community is one of the foundations of this program. And as Jennifer mentioned before, we had 108 people from 13 countries around the world in the last Deeptime Leadership Program. And people were just so connected to each other. I mean, they found a connection that spans cultures, that spans languages, that spans all the different backgrounds, because we're all tied together by allurement and this love of the cosmos. So this cosmic perspective, we have found, really ties together people's individual, cultural, and all their backgrounds in a very coherent way. And people made lifelong friends in the program. They felt very much connected, and they talked about the connectedness being one of the foundations of the program that really most impacted them. So let me show you, and we can have some people actually speak to that who are here from the last program. But let me give you just a brief overview of the program itself. In fact, let me get it set up here. And this is all on the website. I won't spend a lot of time about it. And you'll have the link to this. I'm not sure why this is highlighting here. But it's a Deeptime leadership And what we realized after doing the program last time is it's not just a leadership program. It's not about finding our way forward as a resource and a guide for others, but it's also a well-being program. It's a program that helps us find our place in the cosmos. Right? And our place is not just a physical place, but it's an emotional place. It's a spiritual place. It's a place of belonging. And when we're in that place of belonging, when we're held in a larger cosmic context that's grounded in the Earth community, we feel better, right? People, had dramatic experiences of feeling better in their lives. They said, no matter what's going on in the news and whatever's going on in my personal life, I know I have a place where I belong. And they felt the difference. And so leadership and well-being, we feel are integral parts of the program, right? Because if the leadership isn't leading to a place of well-being, both for ourselves, our community, and the planet, then what good is it, right? The old models of leadership belong in the past. We are in an age where we need new models of leadership, new initiatives that benefit the whole. And so this program is very much about developing leaders who are part of the whole, who feel the expression of the whole, who are guided by allurement, and who activate the allurement in others. So all this information is here on the webpage. I won't spend too much about it, but it's a new way of leading and being. Right? It's not based on the old hierarchical models of leadership where I'm the leader, you do what I say. It's about cultivating a sense of guidance that comes from the field itself, the field of community, the field of our own longing, the field of our own destinies. And it's based on what we're learning about the cosmos. Maybe you've seen the incredible images from the James Webb telescope. Of course, I follow them every day. All right, so we have this kind of new cosmic dimension that's coming into our lives that shows a sense of lineage. Right? When we look at these images, like the one from the deep field, right? This is the universe as it was 13.1 billion years ago. It's the same universe that led to us being here today, and the pine trees and the flowers I see outside my window, the air, the earth, everything around us has this origin in this cosmic flaring forth. Right, we're all part of a cosmic process that's been 13.8 billion years in the making. Right, so our destinies, our personal lives are interwoven with what the James Webb is showing us. It's a seamless. I'll just scroll through here. Lots of information here. I won't go through too much of it, but I want to come down. I'll come back to presenters just a minute. But one of the keystones of the program is following your allurements inside community. And time again, we had people in the program say, this is my community, this is my tribe. These are the people to whom I belong. And they may not have known that at the beginning. They may not have come with a group, but people did come in groups. And we encourage you to get your friends together and do the program together. But if not, then you'll make new friends right away. It's all about community. And that really activated their empowerment, right? To feel empowered inside community, people who get you, people who hold your allurements, people who acknowledge and honor what's important for you, was a pretty transformative process for people. And I'm just going to scroll down here to the different modules. So there's 3 different modules in the program, and they're all around this larger arc of developing leadership. The first module is roughly, it's a 9-month program, and so these are roughly 10 or 12 week modules. But the first one is 11 weeks. It's about this new cosmology, right? Where do we belong in this larger unfolding cosmos? What's the cosmic story of which we're a part? And so we introduce people to this new cosmological view that's coming into our world right now through the James Webb, through the Artemis project, through the Hubble, all these other avenues of enchantment that are bringing cosmic images to our culture at this time. Then we talk about, well, in this larger cosmic framework of which I'm a part, right? If I'm the lineage of 13.8 billion years of cosmic evolution and creativity, then how do I apply this? And we show people how people have applied these cosmic deep time principles on the ground, in their lives, in their communities. So we give examples of this, and we also activate people's allurements. Like, what are you drawn towards? How can we facilitate and cultivate and mentor your allurement? And so we put people together in groups. Actually, we'll put you together in pods early on. So you'll be with a a trusted group of people through the whole program. We'll also organize people into what we call Alarmic Groups, which are people who share a similar field of interests. We have people who are interested in religious reform, people who are interested in cosmology and spirituality, cosmology and activism. A lot of people interested in cosmology and creativity. We have artists, we have musicians, we have writers who come together and they find inspiration with each other. People who are involved in activism, right? Diversity and equity work, all kinds of backgrounds come together, and we try to bring people together and put them in groups where they can synergize and inspire each other. So we learn how to apply these principles in the second module. And the third one, we support our participants in working on a project being very loosely based, but how do you want to apply or express your allurement in the world in a concrete way? And so we put you with mentors, people who are experienced in the field, who can actually help guide you, help cultivate your allurement and bring it to the world in a new way. And so these are three phases of the program. We also say the first module is about encountering the universe. The second one is about expressing the universe. And the third one is about kind of becoming the universe. What does it mean to be the universe in human form, to be the expression of the cosmic allurement? That sounds like a big title, but it's all done in baby steps. So that's kind of the overview of the program. Let me just go through here as well. And then we have the schedule here as well. I won't go into too much detail because I want to save room for questions. The leaders we have for the program are really incredible beings in themselves. I'm one of the leaders, and Jennifer. We also have people from around the world. Amaro comes in from Mexico. He does an incredible job with the Zoom and the tech work, but he's also very much involved with indigenous peoples and activism in Latin America. We have Imogen Drummond, who's an incredible painter and filmmaker who uses cosmos as her inspirations. Brian Swim, if you haven't met him or spent any time with him, you get to spend time with Brian, which of course is always an enriching experience. Many of you also know Sarmeet, who's currently teaching the Cosmic Wisdom course. He's a gifted teacher as well. He'll be talking about kind of the matrix of quantum relationality in our first module in the course. Cliff Varian is a musician. He's been worked with diversity and equity work for many, many years. He's studied with Richard Rohr at the Center for Action and Contemplation and Dr. Barbara Holmes. So he has a rich background that he brings. He'll be one of our presenters. Orla Hazra is a deep time educator. She's got a rich background that spans different continents. Margie Abbott comes in from Australia, an incredible facilitator of all kinds of deep time processes. She'll be working with us with our mentoring and certificate people. Dwayne and Colleen Elgin, if you don't know them, they've been leading these principles, these deep time principles with the Earth community for decades. If you haven't read Dwayne Elgin's book, Facing Adversity, Choosing Earth, Choosing Life, that's an incredible resource that we'll be drawing on this program. Sam Garnacha is a musician and composer. Angela Mano is an artist. She'll be talking about deep time art. Of course, we have Jennifer and Orla in the second program. Matthew Cobb works with indigenous peoples in both America and Europe. He's also a coach, a consultant for leadership. He'll be talking about leading the gap. How do we lead in uncertain times? Marianne Rowe is also doing a program for the Deep Time Network on emergent dialogue. How can we have conversations from which something new emerges that's novel and creative? She's an expert in that. Kim Bella is a psychologist who works through the Deep Time framework. She'll talk about that with Lisa Verney, who's also a graduate of our program, who is a dancer, writer, and a psychotherapist who has been applying Deep Time principles in her therapy work. And she'll talk about that as well. MJ Zimmerman is coming back as faculty. She studied with Brian Swim at CIS. She's been involved with Navajo work in the Southwest, American Southwest for many years. And she's working on deep time ritual and community. We also have Matthew Fox, who of course has been at the leading edge of science and spirituality for decades. Sarmeet will be back. Bill Halal, businessman and strategist, engineer, talking about how do we apply these deep time principles in the business perspective. Mary Evelyn Tucker, many of you know, has been writing about the cosmic story for decades and cross-cultural issues as well. Yana Frenchhawk lives near where I live in North Carolina. He's a Cherokee native wisdom keeper and storyteller. He's doing a storytelling program on the Deeptime Network and elsewhere as well. He'll be sharing Indigenous knowledge as well. So we have an incredible faculty coming on for the program as well. Let me just stop there. And that's a lot. I tend to kind of, go full out. So I want to take a break here. And then just one other thing, and we'll open things up for questions. I want to show you the people who came to the program last time. As we said before, we had 108 people from 13 countries around the world. We offered the program at 2 different times to cover different time zones. So for this next iteration of the program, we'll have it Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then Friday mornings, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time, which tends to cover all the time zones of the world. So we have a global community that meets with this. But let me show you who came through the program last year. I'm just going to bring it up here. These are our certified deep time leaders. We had a certification track that we asked people to do a little bit more, but we had a wonderful cohort of people. So we have Ambi, who's applying deep time principles in the Philippines in art and education. Cami, who's an artist and photographer, who's working with deep time as a model for community. Hasina from South Africa. She's a spiritual coach, and she's working with mind-body healing and coaching. Margie, who's here today, we'll have her say a little bit more about what she's done, but she's really done a lot of work on the ground in Ohio with the ecosystem restoration, community renewal, a few other highlights. Seema, she's an indigenous person from India, and she's working with deep time in the indigenous communities that she's a part of. Corinna from Germany, as an artist, performer, researching deep time application in the arts. She puts fun in here, which I love, because she's very much involved in the practice of clowning, which has a very long lineage in Europe. This practice of clowning as a whole therapeutic process. Odile, who's originally from France, but she's now currently living in El Paso, Texas. She's working on deep time perspectives and cosmic renewal within religious communities. Judith Keller comes in from Australia, working with spirituality and art. She's a contemplative, but also an artist as well. Jenny, also from Australia. Liz is the one I mentioned before from Calgary, working on contemplation and nature and deep time principles. And she's trained in eco ministry, and she does contemplative work. Ling Ling, also from the Philippines. Penny, who's been involved with Matthew Fox in creation spirituality for decades. She taught a course on creation spirituality and deep time as a result of her project last year that was a wildly successful hit over the summer. So people are really taking these projects, bringing them to the world in really spectacular ways. Catherine Mariska, who's very much involved with education and spirituality in children. Lisa Verney, we mentioned already, is doing a deep time in therapy. I'll just come through here as well. Energy, we mentioned Mary Ann, creation spirituality and the labyrinth as a spiritual path. Cliff, we mentioned before, with diversity issues, but also working with Richard Rohr's work. Tara is developing new models of community based on deep time principles. Brian Tucker, his work is about technology. How can we incorporate technology in an earth-friendly way in a cosmic context? Katrina is a Sister of Mercy in New Zealand who is working with Indigenous peoples to create a new type of contemplative center and process there. And it just goes on and on. So, I mean, I won't go into all the people here, but you can read for yourself, the leaders who went through the program before. Let me just stop right there. few other things to mention. For people for whom it's important, we just have a recent arrangement with Antioch University, where they will give graduate credit in their individualized Masters of Arts program for people who've gone through the program. They may, I won't say they will, but people are eligible for credit. Also, if you're involved with the American Montessori Society, we have an arrangement with them for them to receive credit for their postgraduate work. And what else? Jennifer, where are we at now in terms of?
Yeah, you know what I think might be a good thing, since we have Argery and Life here, maybe Argery could share what was the program for you, Argery, if you can say, what was the big thing that you took away that these other people might want to hear about?
It was a jokester, Cosmos, who is saying, okay, you get it now what you're here for? Isn't it strange to hear this word allurement and to consider that desire has anything to do with the universe? So I did take the advice to come with a colleague. We're working on ecosystem restoration work in this part of Ohio near Lake Erie, and expected that we would learn some principles to apply to the content of that work to sort of make it more robust even, and ended up uncovering that this notion that we are a universe in earth form, and in terms of our place, our ecosystem, whose food systems, whose notions of racial equity, whose water cleanliness, all have issues here that we actually are affected by that and affect that in ways that are personal, in ways that are expressions of our own beingness. So the way that, thanks for asking the question in the way you did, Jennifer, because for me, what kept knocking at the door is, this is not just about scholarship or academic content or about knowledge or expertise to make something more efficient or effective or better than some other program. I'm kind of exaggerating. We didn't think that that's what we would do exactly. But my point is, it's also about, for me, discovering that I'm a creator, and earth in the form of archery shows up in ways that I dismissed before. It shows up in such a way that I entered into my courageous knowing of my allurements as a creator, like the universe is a creator, and was invited as a result to participate in an art installation here locally, where I will be offering expressions of deep time through the making, through the interaction with my mandalas.
Mm.
And it's the installation is called The Longing for Kindness. And this is not separate from my work with ecosystem restoration. What I saw was that my allurement was showing me that the longing for kindness is a way into restoring our ecosystems in our own places and in our own souls.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so powerful, Argery. Oh my God. Thank you for that sharing.
Thank you for the course.
Yeah. Life, how about you? Can you say what the program was for you?
Yeah, that the program really give affect me a lot. because I'm a religion sister, you know, and yeah, so when I study that also encourage my faith, and I can close to the Jesus through our class, you know. I find some way to deeply in my life, in my faith, also in the daily time, you know. Yesterday when I went to school, then I also see all the video that I think about our class. I really miss that group. Really give me a lot of in fact, that is true.
Yeah. Thank you, Li Fei. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for I have the opportunity to attend that class.
No, you are so welcome.
Jennifer, should we open up for questions or
Sure.
reflection?
Yeah, and then yeah, let's start with questions, and then we'll move to, you know, how could this program help you given where you are, you know. But first, let's just, you know, just nuts and bolts questions. Oh, should I talk about pay now, or we were going to do that later? Yeah.
Yeah, let's just see if people have questions about
Okay. Yeah.
the program or reflections on what you've been absorbing. Anything people want to share about where you are now.
What is the description or the structure of a project that you have in the third module? What does that involve?
So it's a great question. So in the project, we ask you to, first of all, situate it within a deep time framework. We have deep time principles. So what's the context for it? How is the project embedded in your life and your community? What's the interior derived from which the project is arising from? And then how are we going to take concrete steps in action in enacting the project in the world? So we break this down into very baby steps so that you see that your project has a larger context. We ask you, what's the community for whom the project benefits? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a community out in the world. It could be the Earth community, it could be your own community soul, could be your own creative expression. But we lead you step by step in enacting on the world within the context of a group, within the context of community. And this is done, we began working on kind of the framework of the project in module 2, which is 12 weeks. And then the final module 3, which I think is 11 weeks, Jennifer, we actually take you step by step into enacting the project in the world and support you each step of the way. We put you together with mentors, we put you together with like-minded people who can give you feedback on the project. We put you together with different people from different fields who can also reflect on your project. So people have a sense of ongoing support and developing a project. And project is kind of not quite the right word, but basically in expressing your allurement, your desire, your gift in the world. And people who were in the program can talk about what that process was like. Project is kind of maybe too academic a term, but whatever you're passionate about, we find a way to kind of bring that forward, develop that, and express that in the world so that it benefits you and other people.
So is this just a document that you write that outlines everything?
It can take many forms. It can be a document you write. I mean, we might ask for just a general framework. It could be a community project, something you enact in the world. It could be an art piece. It could be a creative work. We leave it very open in terms of how you want to express it. So we're not looking for an academic paper at the end.
Okay.
But we want you to kind of, you know, activate your allurement and bring it forward in some way. And what that way looks like is going to be different for each person, but we're going to support whatever the way is yours. It could be a painting that expresses, this is my experience of allurement right now, or this is where my allurement has guided me. It could be the creation of mandalas in an art exhibit, in the case of Margie, that's interwoven with her work with ecosystem and community restoration. So the diversity of expression is as diverse as the diversity of people who are expressing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question, Georgianne.
I have a question, if I could.
Yes.
I'm curious about the process of the class. Is it like a live session with the teachers? Is it video? Do we have discussion groups? What is the week-to-week process?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a lot of structure in the curriculum. So we meet live at least once a week. So there's 2 different sections. People who can meet Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern time, and people who could meet Friday morning, 11 to 1. You're welcome to come to either or both of those. We do ask you to commit to a certain time as your primary group, because you'll get to know those people very well and you'll be known by this group very well. And they'll rely on you coming in and joining every week. So we have live sessions every week. We have discussion sections for people who want to explore offline, if they have questions or want to have community between the live sessions. We also have places where people can share about what's coming up for them, ask questions, have those responded to. The recordings are also available. So if you miss a session, the recording is available to you. Or if you want to see the recording for the group you didn't make that week. Of course, different groups have different experiences. So you can always have access to those. We have readings and videos and all kinds of really rich materials to encounter every week as part of the curriculum. And those materials stay on the website for up to a year. So we have access to all the community, all the resources, all the discussion forums that you can continue to contribute to for up to the year after the end of the course. And then people in the course sometimes get together outside of class to have their own meetings. They're so drawn towards the community that they continue to meet outside the group. And of course, if you'd like to do that, we're happy to support that. But does that answer your question, or is there any other questions?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, but all the sessions with the presenters are live, so you have a chance to interact with Brian Swim or Matthew Fox or all these incredible presenters, ask questions, receive feedback, be in a live forum with these people, which is activating in itself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. And then just to say a few more words, typically every class session we have will often open with some kind of practice. We have deep time meditations, contemplations, or some kind of opening practice that generates a sense of a community. We'll often have some introductory remarks, presentation, and we always do breakout groups. Community is so important that we'll do multiple breakout groups during every session. So you get a chance to kind of get to know people on a personal level. So if you're in a class with 60 people, in the big group, we'll break into groups of maybe triads with 3 people, might be a larger group. We'll switch them up, but you'll have a chance to get to know people personally. And we mix up the groups throughout the course as well. So you have a home group that you can rely upon, but you also get to know other people in a personal way through the over the course as well. So community is very important. So we make sure that's included.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
I have a question about community, actually. You mentioned about pods, and we get put into pods. I was curious how big they are. Do we keep them all the way through? That kind of thing, really. So I was just curious.
Yeah, it's a great question. And we take the feedback that we receive from program participants very seriously. We take it as kind of, inspiration for generating the next round of the program. And people in the last program said, I would really like to have the same home group throughout the entire 9-month program. And so we're going to do that. And in terms of what size group, Jennifer, do you remember? Have we agreed on that?
It'll be around 5, 4 or 5, something like that. And, and you'll be in it throughout the entire program. This is something we really learned in the last one. People form such strong bonds that they want to stay together throughout. And then we'll have other groups where, it can be random so that you get to meet other people in the program. So it's this combination of intimacy and bonding, but also this sense of, wow, I'm really connected to a global, movement that's happening. So it's a great, combination.
Mm. And we found the size group, like 5 to 7 people is just the sweet spot for where it's big enough for diversity, but small to really still be intimate and develop personal relationships. So we really pay attention to these types of details, which is what really works to really make the program work for people.
And one more kind of admin-y question. Are there 2 levels of program, or does everybody get a certificate? I mean, I haven't been through the stuff in detail because I wasn't planning to do this, but it's kind of taken me off. So are there 2 types, 2 levels of involvement or program?
There are 2 tracks. There are people who sign up for the program and to go all the way through it, and there are people who sign up for the Deeptime certification track, which requires just a little bit more work. There's quizzes, reflections, opportunities to develop yourself further, and we meet with them separately in a very coherent group. So yes, there are 2 tracks. Certification, of course, is a little bit more work, and so there's a slightly higher fee for that, but there's 2 ways to participate.
And so what's the difference in the end result and in the time commitment for each track?
It's similar, although for certificate people, we ask them to do a little bit more work outside of class time. There's quizzes, reflection papers that they do, some additional reflection work they ask them to do. And their projects tend to be, more refined as well.
So if I said to you, what's the hours? I mean, it's probably unanswerable, but what's the difference in hours needed per week for each track?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'd say it varies, but I wouldn't say it's not significantly higher to be in certification track than the normal track. It's not like twice as many hours.
I think you were giving a range of 2 to 5 hours, with
2 to 5 hours outside class time per week, and that's for reading, for reflection, for responding to quizzes or discussion posts like that. So we try to make this program very life friendly because people have full lives and they have a lot of commitments, and we're aware of that. And we don't require that you read everything that we put up there. You're not going to be quizzed on it, but we offer it there as part of a buffet and a banquet. Follow your allurement in terms of what you're drawn towards encountering this week, because we trust people's process of discernment. It's like, oh, this is such a crazy week. I can only read one thing and I'm drawn to this. Perfectly fine. Right? So we want this program to really work for you and to really work in your life, because that's where it's going to take root, is in the life that you live. Other questions or reflection?
Why don't we, go ahead, Tim, I see you're got something.
Yeah, I'm just curious, the different tracks of certification, how would one discern and choose between the 2? How would you suggest what to consider?
It's a similar experience. Margie can probably speak to that as well in terms of that discernment process. But at the end, once you finish all the requirements for certification, you have this credential of being a certified Deeptime leader. And so we have this credential of Deeptime leadership, and the Deeptime network, I would say, is the premier network or organization that represents the expression of the new cosmology in the world. And so that has some weight behind it. And so there's a certain level of performance that we're expecting, a certain level of maturity that we look for in participants and graduates, and people demonstrate that throughout the program. And I get to know every Deeptime leader, personally, and so I have a good sense of each person and where they're coming from, what their capacities are. So it's not just a rubber stamp that we say, well, you're a Deeptime leader, but there's a certain level of performance and accomplishment that's expected, a certain capacity. We ask our Deeptime leaders to cultivate and lead Deeptime meditations or some kind of contemplation. So how do you create a Deeptime context within a group? And so we ask them to lead a Deeptime meditation for one of the classes. And we have mentoring. People who actually can mentor them in leading Deeptime meditations or contemplations in an effective way. And so and then we receive feedback on that. So there's skills that we actually practice in the Deeptime certification program that are different than the ones in the normal track. Yeah, Jennifer, feel free to add anything if you.
Yeah, what I've heard from people is that some people opt for the certificate track if they want to be go to another level of engagement, so that it really gets them to, dig into the material more. It gets them, the reflection papers are actually really important. This is what I've heard. Maybe Audrey could speak to that, or Life. Sitting down and actually writing a reflection paper, it helps you to understand what you've been doing in a way that
So
you just
is
don't.
that something that you do? Sorry, Jennifer. Is that something you do in the certification track, but not in?
Yes, in the certification track. Of course, anybody can write a reflection paper. Nobody's going to stop you. Everybody sees the questions. But if you're in the certificate track, Steve will be reading it, and he'll be commenting on it. And you'll develop this, relationship with Steve that is really valuable. If you're on the certificate track.
And then as you're, as a graduate of the certificate program, you're part of our leadership network. And so we connect you with other deep time leaders and other mentors and other organizations, because we have contacts with organizations and people around the world. It's like, oh, I'm interested in this. We'll pair you up with that mentor. There's something else I was going to say too. Many people find it valuable to have a certificate for personal professional development. I mean, there's 62 contact hours in the program. And so people can apply that to their fields and saying, well, I finished this program with 62 contact hours. For example, teachers in the American Montessori Society can use that towards their professional development credentials. So oftentimes people are in a work situation where having some kind of professional development is valuable. And so we can certify to that and say, here's a record of these 62 hours that this person accomplished through this program. So,
can a person start the program and make a decision partway in, or do you have to decide at the beginning?
Well, there is a difference in price. So, I mean, we did have somebody last year who started and then wanted to upgrade to. So I would say, if you wanted to do that, you could, but you'd probably want to upgrade fairly quickly, just because, you would want to know what's being expected, I think. Yeah. I'm just going to show this pricing stuff quickly, and then we'll have a few minutes left, because we want to make this as affordable as possible. And one way we've done that is through encouraging groups to come in. That doesn't always work for everybody, but sometimes it can. Let me just show this. So, individual pricing. This is without the certificate. This is with the certificate. But then if you're able to bring in a group of 4, and honestly, I'd even do it if you brought in a group of 3, if you were able to do that, you can see that the price comes down quite a lot without certificate, with certificate. And of course, I can answer any questions about this. We do have some scholarship money available, not a lot, and we're trying to save that for people who are coming from, other countries where the exchange rate is such that it's hard for people to participate if they don't get help. So there's that. Obviously, write to me anytime you have a question about, any of this stuff. But we have a few minutes left. Let's just, how could this program help you in your life? Let's just take a quick couple minutes going around the circle. What could this do for you? Tim, what could this do for you?
Well, that's a good question. I think, it would be a response to my deep curiosity of life and finding my place in life. Yes, my deepest desire is to live this life fully alive, fully engaged. And I guess I just feel the allurement of the universe to befriend it at a at a deeper level, that it may inform me, and it may be the aliveness that I desire, and that certainly that in turn will inspire action, and my way to participate in the bending of the arc towards the arc of the universe towards its deepest desires.
Beautiful, Tim. Thank you so much. I think this program really could do that for you. And you know, it would be a two-way street. You're bringing what you bring into the whole mosaic affects the mosaic. Let me put it that way. Like I can just hear that in your voice. Anne, how about you? How could this program help you?
Well, I would say I was drawn to it both for professional and personal reasons. I have sort of a lifetime career track of going from more mental, analytical, actually engineering, environmental engineering, to more heart-based, and actually went to Antioch University to get a master's in sustainability education, Antioch, New England, and have, after many years of lots of things threading together, my years of non-dual spirituality are really merging with the environmental work that I've been doing all along. And such a core of it is a sense of belonging, and, as Tim said, aliveness and joy, and I think belonging. So what I'm working on now is developing a inner to outer transformation series, a program mainly for young adults, who, the ones that I know, just have such despair about the world. And I, as much as I know about the bad news, I also really have this sense of aliveness and hope that we can come forward and create something wonderful and healing. So this, I think, would so beautifully support and inform that work, that it just seems like a really natural fit.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anne. Jane.
Yes. How to put it all into words? That is the question. I fell in love with evolution when I was at Matt Fox's Institute in 93, 94. And Brian Swim was one of my lecturers. And he said every moment we are offered the chance to opt into or out of the adventure of the universe. And that just stays with me. I've had a long journey with health issues. I've had a lot of time to think and write and whatever. And I've kind of I've got bits of writing and bits of practices and bits of poetry, because I want to help people fall in love with the universe, because that's what we need. I want to make it so simple and so luscious that they get it, because that's what we need. And I spent a long time feeling stuff in the mist that I couldn't quite get words for, because you know how something's coming up out the ocean, and we live at a species time moment, and the time is now, and I've run away. Or I haven't run away, I've been composting for a long time, and it's time not to compost. But I don't want to do it on my own. It's like, okay, I want to be a flower with other flowers, but I don't quite know the form. So that's kind of what I want to do. I don't know how, I just want to make it simple and irresistible for people to find a context within which to locate for this incredible birthing process, so that they don't all collapse into, oh, we're all fucked, if you excuse my language. Actually, there is a possibility here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what we need for this time. And
And
what's
I
the-
wasn't planning, sorry, I wasn't planning any of this. So I do emergent dialogue, and then I do quantum wisdom, and somehow I seem to be contemplating this. It's like, okay,
You're being led.
I am being carried. That's what it's all about.
Georgianne.
Well, I think Tim and Jane just, sort of summarized my feelings. I am almost 78 years old now and quite retired, and just coming out of a long 2-year battle with cancer and back problems, and thought that my time was very limited. And now all of a sudden I have more time, but my back is fixed and I'm feeling great. And then the next thing is, why am I here? So, and I truly, I think Jane and Tim just sort of summarized my feelings too.
Yeah,
No.
I can't tell you how many people we have who are in your position who say, I thought life was over, and now, I'm on in years. I thought life was over, and now I'm like totally turned on again.
Yes, and I've just came out of the quantum, well, I'm doing the quantum wisdom and class and signed up for the conversation class. My brain is old.
Okay.
My memory is not that great, but
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that there's still something that I want to look forward to. I love this cosmology approach. I've been a Course in Miracles student since 1989, and this I am struggling to integrate this, but I'm finding an integration, and I'd like to pursue that more. I love it.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, Georgianne.
Yeah.
Well, this has been.
Can I make an
wonderful.
observation?
Yes, please, Audrey.
If the audio recording of this conversation were let loose in the world that we know is the mainstream way of living, where we talk from our heads with each other, if we talk with each other, where society is constructed in a way that's more about separating ourselves from each other, let alone from our allurements and passions. Whoever is listening would say, this is crazy. This is impossible. And every week, when we leave this session, we step back into that world, many of us. But for me, knowing that there is this community, to use that word again, is the backbone, is the support, is the cradle, is the blanket for staying with what our bodies and souls are telling us. Like these things that we're feeling, like it's time now. Or the thing that seems to be calling us to say, what really are you here for? Those are things that mainstream world says, you're not a child anymore. You have to do responsible adult things. And the thing is, we're here to change the conversation in society in many ways. And being in this community makes it possible to stick with it, to stick with what we know the universe has us here to be doing and to be being. I can't value enough the role that the community plays to keep me brave, to keep me going and experimenting when out there in the world people are saying, what is it you're doing? Or what were those words you just used? And instead to have them over time say, that is so cool. I wish I could do that.
That was nice.
Yeah, thank
That's
you,
my
Jill.
experience also, there's all my life I have been sort of desperately looking for someone to whom I could talk about this stuff because I've always been engaged at some level. And it's hard to find.
Mm.
It's hard to find.
And Georgianne, pretty much every person on our program says that. You are the people I've been waiting to talk to you about these things. They have this lifelong longing.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I also want to just follow up. I know we're at time. I want to follow up quickly with what Marjorie said is, look what happened in the conversation in the past 10 minutes, the wisdom and the longing that came through. And so I would encourage each of you, when you get the recording, go back and listen to what you said, because I was touched by what each person expressed.
yeah,
And I felt such a deep resonance with the longing, with the wisdom, with the guidance that's coming through. But I feel like we need that. And so I would go back and listen to the recording of yourself speaking and listen to what came out of your mouth, right? The longing, the guidance, the wisdom that came out when we had this context where you asked, how could this program benefit you? And so I just offer that right now because I'm touched by what each person shared and just the gifts that you're bringing and the longing that you're bringing. And yeah, the wisdom that's coming out of each person's mouth, that's coming from each person's heart. I'm really touched by that. So I just want to acknowledge that. We're each a source of cosmic wisdom and leadership that the world needs. And that's kind of the point of the program is, how do we bring our own leadership forward without looking to others, but being the leader that we need in our lives right now? And I see each of us as a source of that. So thank you all for being here and joining us.
thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, feel free to be in touch
Yeah.
anytime.
Don't hesitate. Yeah, be in touch with either of us. I'll send you the emails for both of us. Yep. Okay, everybody. Have a
Thank
good-
you.
Have a good rest of your day.
You as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that went well.
Yeah, I think so.
That went great.
I hope they sign up. I'd love
Yeah.
to see each of them in the program.
Okay, wait, hang on one second. I just have
Nope.
to stop the recording.